Herndon, it's Mayor Kevin, and it's time for our next Minutes with the Mayor. And today I'm at a landmark in town that everyone probably recognizes, the Herndon Depot, right off of the W&OD Trail. And I'm joined by Barbara Glakas, one of our local historians and members of the Herndon Historical Society. Thank you, Barbara.
Hello, Kevin. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about Herndon Historical Society and what they do and how they do it?
Yes, we got started, actually, this building that was built in 1860 was the original train station, and then the train stopped running in 1968, and then after that, the town was wondering what to do with this building, and there was a group of residents who lobbied to save the building so it wouldn't get demolished. They were successful, and then that group of citizens became the Herndon Historical Society. They incorporated in 1971. And then they decided to make this a museum, and they spent several years collecting artifacts, and the museum opened up in 1981, and we've been here ever since. And so our mission generally is to bring together people who like history, particularly local history, and also to educate the public about Herndon history. And we do that in a variety of ways. One way we do that, of course, is maintaining this museum, which has over 500 different artifacts in it. We have 3 rooms in this building. One is about rail and train history. Another room is predominantly about Commander Herndon, the town's namesake. And this room we're in here, the freight room, is about Herndon life in general, about the schools, the churches, the businesses, the people, and that kind of thing. And we also assist the town. Sometimes when the town of Herndon wants information on a certain historic property, we can give them some background information or photographs of old homes. We sometimes collaborate with the town if they want information, if they want to do a historical post on their Facebook page, we can give them some information. We also help residents and business owners research their properties, their homes or their businesses, their business building. We keep documents. We have over 2,000 historical photos in our collection.
Several of which you've exhibited at different times.
Oh yes, yes. They get included with our stories, and we use them in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
And I believe that maybe you personally, but the Historical Society has helped. If you go into council chambers and you see pictures of previous mayors, some of the older ones.
Right. I was asked to do that several years ago, to do a photo display of all the mayors of Herndon, so that was fun. Wasn't able to find all of them. There's still 4 or 5 missing mayors, but some of those date way back to the 1800s, so it was hard to get photos.
Really cool. And certainly now for a lot of the artifacts, and I think you were telling me that some of them you actually discovered, so Historical Society members literally go out and with metal detectors and
we have done that. Most of the artifacts in here were donated to us from families and businesses and everything. But I do have another Historical Society member that I like to metal detect with, and sometimes on abandoned lots or lots that are being raised in order for development, we'll go out there with a metal detector, and we found some pretty cool things.
That's awesome. So can we look at a few of the items? Maybe you were telling me that there was one that you find very interesting that you found personally from the Civil War.
Right. We can take a look at that. Okay, this is our Civil War section of the museum. There was a lot of troops that used to move through Herndon during the Civil War, both Union and Confederate.
Makes sense given where we are.
Right. And we had one skirmish in here, Mosby's raid. But I found out that an entire Union Corps was encamped here in Herndon in the summer of 1863.
Wow.
And one lady who lived during that time and wrote a memoir talked about how they used to trample through her yard and ran her well dry, used to knock on her door and ask for food.
Where was that located?
So that was on Monroe Street.
Okay.
And so we went over to, with permission of course, metal detect their yard, and we found this item, which is a Union breastplate. It just looks like a blob of metal here, but you can see the bird, the eagle on there. And it would have looked like this originally, and the breastplate would go, the Union soldier would wear a strap with a ammo pouch, and this breastplate would go here.
Oh wow.
So this
that's a really interesting find.
Right. And then we also found in Runnymede Park this Confederate spur. It's broken. It would have had another half here,
Right.
the Confederate spur. So
Really
we found
cool.
some neat
I
things
love
around
that.
town. Yes.
So after Civil War, we're going to jump to more recent, the 1930s.
Okay.
So Barbara, what we have here is a special collection, and each year you do a different special exhibit.
Herndon High School in the 1930s, one of our rotating exhibits. One thing that I learned that was very interesting for this is this high school letter is orange. And when it was first donated to us, I said, oh, that must have faded, because,
Right.
red. And he said, oh, no, it was always orange. And then he explained to me that the colors in the 30s were orange. So I know that the Herndon Hornet was not adopted as a mascot until about 1945. And so my theory is that it must have been then when they adopted the Hornet that they also established school colors today that they use, white, red, and black.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to see this orange letter here.
Now, this is the newsletter for the school?
The
And
newspaper, the
newspaper.
broadcast.
So it looks like it's pretty much hand-drawn. That's
It
pretty
is.
cool.
Yeah, it's typewritten, and all the pictures on the inside are hand-drawn
Oh,
sketches.
wow. And I see some teachers or students here in front of the school. Just as a note, so the school actually is not where the school is today.
Correct.
It was on Locust,
Right.
where the middle school is.
Yeah, it's where Herndon Middle School is now.
Okay, so let's go into other parts of the depot now.
All
and
right.
We'll check out some of the other
Yeah,
things.
thanks.
All right, so Barbara, we're in the main room, the one room you would typically enter in, and this seems very naval oriented.
Right,
So Herndon is named after Commander Herndon.
right.
And can you tell us a little bit about him and how we got named?
Right. How we got named, that's kind of a story there. Commander William Lewis Herndon, he was a Navy guy, had a storied naval career. And then towards the end of his career, what he was doing is taking passengers, gold from the California Gold Rush, and mail from, it started in California, went to the Panama Isthmus. Actually, one ship would do that.
Right.
Then it went over the isthmus, and then Commander Herndon and his ship would pick them up in Panama and take it up the eastern seaboard and deliver everybody and the money and the gold to the banks in New York. But in 1857, he ran into a major hurricane off the Carolina coast, and he sank.
Wow.
It took a couple days for the ship to go down, but he was considered a real hero. He ended up, there were over 500 people on the ship. He saved about 140 some, mostly women and children. And
So it's like the East Coast Titanic.
right, exactly. That year in 1857 was also the year that the railroad was being built out here to Herndon, just coincidentally. And even though Commander Herndon had never been to this area, there were, when the townspeople, well, they weren't a town then, they were just an unnamed village, were having meetings to try to figure out what to name their new post office, because in this building was going to be a post office. A stranger came into town, and they invited him to join in the meeting, and of course they asked him, where are you going, where are you from? And he told them the story. He was a survivor of the sinking of the Central America. And so he told them the story of this brave Commander Herndon, and they were all taken with the story of Herndon, and they decided to name the post office Herndon. And then later on in 1879, when the town was incorporated, they kept the name Herndon.
So we have brave roots.
Right, right. This is a scale model of Commander Herndon's ship, the SS Central America. And one really cool artifact we have is this, and this was brought up from the bottom of the ocean because the ship was actually discovered in the 1980s. And all that gold, millions of dollars worth of gold, and other artifacts. You had, eyeglasses, photographs, clothing, was brought up. This is a metal luggage tag, and it says on it, San Fran to New York via Panama. So that was the route. So this is a metal luggage tag with a leather strap, and the writing is embossed on there. And we actually bought this in an auction when they were, auction
really
house was
cool.
selling off some of the artifacts from the sinking of the Central America.
That's awesome. And then back here we have some nautical wheels.
Right, we can go over there and look at that too.
So Barbara, we're in this corner, and these look like what would be in a ship to navigate us and power us. So can you tell us a little bit about what this is and where it came from?
Anybody who's interested in naval history will like this display. It's about the USS Herndon. It was a World War II ship. There are actually 2 ships named after Commander Herndon, one in World War I, one in World War II. And the thing that's significant about this ship is that it led the Armada in the Normandy invasion, World War II. It was a destroyer. And later on, when that destroyer was decommissioned, we actually got these parts of the ship. These are the real parts of the ship.
Wow.
From the U.S. Navy on loan. And so that's what these are. And then there were many people the sailors who served on that ship who donated various artifacts to us. So many of these things were donated from the sailors.
Those that served on the USS Herndon. Now I'm hearing some tapping, so I think we are hearing part of the railroad part of the museum.
That's right. Let's go over there.
Okay. Barbara, we're now in what I call the front. I don't know if it's really the front of the depot, but for me, it's the small room, and this is dedicated to what the depot really was built for, was postal and the WNOD, so it was a rail station.
Right.
So I always find, and I know when I'm in here on opening days with kids, they always find this very interesting. So this is a telegraph.
So this is the station master's room in our museum. It's dedicated to rail and train history. And so yes, this is these are real antique parts of a telegraph. Herndon got a telegraph in the 1870s. And this is a sounder and a key. So of course you tap the key to do Morse code, to send a message. Now the way we have it set up here now is we have it hooked up to a computer. So right now I'm just running a 1862 looped message that's being tapped out. But what you can do if you do know Morse code, you can tap out a message on the key in Morse code and the message will show up on the computer screen. Or the inverse of that, you can type out a message on the computer screen and then it'll tap out on the sounder. This is the sounder that you're hearing here.
So we also have the post office piece. So
Right.
let's take a look at that. Barbara, what are we looking at?
Well, this was part of the postal part of the depot, because before this depot was built in 1860, the postmasters would just run a post office out of their homes. Whoever. And then this was built in 1860 and the post office was located in here. This is an original piece of furniture where mail could go in here and freight receipts, because when the train would come in and people would order things and the freight would come in. And we even have a few old receipts in here. These are from 1912. Like we have Dr. Detweiler, who is a medical doctor, and he had ordered a box of strips. We have William Taylor, he was a local jeweler. He had ordered 2 boxes of glass.
Thank you so much for giving us this little snippet
of
our town and our history. If you want to take a little bit of that history home with you, certainly I believe that many people know this, but Herndon Historical Society, nonprofit, it's volunteer run, and to help to fund some of these things, you sell replicas of the Herndon sign in different sizes from the depot. You also sell an ornament each year. Are you going to give us a preview of what's coming up for Christmas 2026?
Sure, or as a surprise, I guess newsflash, our new ornament for 2026 is going to be the Herndon Hornet.
Okay, cool. And then you also have books. So there's everything from children's and coloring books to books that you've written, which are about Herndon's hidden history. And you might have a new one coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. All right.
All right. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
And we're open every Sunday. And also, if you want a tour or want to contact us at all, we have a Gmail address, just herndonhistoricalsociety@gmail.com.
And you run the caboose. So when is the caboose open?
Well, we open that by appointment, and also during the farmers market for a couple hours every Thursday when the farmers market is open. We have that open, and we also open it during our annual model train show in December.
And I'll say that is also an interesting one to go in and see.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.